everybody, and welcome back to another episode. So in today's episode, we're going to be going through the 5 modes on the Zhiyun Crane 3 gimbal, as I've had a lot of requests from people asking me what the modes are and how the settings work on the Zhiyun Crane 3. So I've decided to make different videos. The first one today will be on the modes only, and then we'll take it from there on the settings. So the 5 different modes on the Zhiyun Crane 3 is your POV, which is your point of view. We have your full follow mode, which is the F mode. We have your Vortex mode, which is the V mode. We also have your PF mode, which is your pan follow. And then we have your lock mode. Now, each different mode has a different outcome to what your gimbal will be doing in collaboration with your camera in order to get different angles and in order to get complete different shooting styles. Now, firstly, what we're going to be doing is we'll go to your POV mode, and I will show you just now what the POV mode can do. And this is what the POV mode looks like on the back of your screen, and this is how you get it. In the center, between the 3 buttons on your left of your gimbal, there's a POV button. So we'll start with that and show you what it does. So if you hold your gimbal up, you'll find that POV is your point of view. So as you move the gimbal, also your camera moves with the gimbal. But what point of view does allow the camera to do is to have that Dutch angle mode. So it goes into an angle together with your gimbal. No other mode on the gimbal does this. Only POV does this. And that's why a lot of people like to make use of the POV in some movies and some music videos, any kind of documentary or things where they need to have a Dutch angle coming into or coming out of a scene. That is what you'll use the POV mode for. I wouldn't use the POV mode for any other shooting unless I've planned my shot to come in on a Dutch angle. Now, the second mode, if you press the POV mode twice, then you'll get your pan follow mode. Now, your pan follow is exactly what it says. The camera would not go up or down on a pan follow. It's just a pan follow. So the camera would follow the gimbal as your hands move left to right. And I'll show you. As you move the camera or the gimbal, then the camera follows that gimbal move with a little bit of lag, obviously, because you don't want to have very harsh or sharp movements. So that is what the pan follow mode does. Now, you see, if you tilt your gimbal up or down, your camera does not tilt up or down. It stays in the exact same position on the up and down axes. Now, in the pan follow mode, if you want to change your up or down axes, you have your little joystick in the bottom here by your thumb. So if you want to pan up or down, you just press your joystick up or down and your camera will pan up or down. So especially if you like going into a place where there's an elevation like stairs, then what you'll do is you will tilt your gimbal and you can pan still. Your left to right pan is still active, but now you can also pan up if you like or pan down if you like by making use of the joystick. Now, if you've been using the joystick to go up or down with your axles, then you want to reset your camera into the correct position. There's a reset button right here next to below the point of view button. If you press that, camera will jump straight back into position. The next mode is your full follow mode, and that's the top button right here on the left hand side. If you press the full follow mode, what your gimbal will do now is it will follow wherever you go with your hands. So if you pan down with your gimbal or you pan up with your gimbal, then the camera will follow that mode. So panning down or panning up, the camera will actually follow the gimbal. Now, even if you pan left or you pan right, the exact same thing happens. Your camera will follow the gimbal movement. Please excuse my chicken. Next, we have the full follow mode. So if your gimbal is switched to the full follow mode, which is the top button of the 3 on the left-hand side here, your camera will follow every single movement that your gimbal does. So if you pick up the gimbal and you point down with the gimbal, your camera will point down. If you point up with the gimbal, your camera will point up. If you go to the left or to the right, your gimbal will follow, or your camera will follow the exact movements of your gimbal. Now, this mode is very interesting for when you are making use of certain follow movements that you want to track a subject, but you don't want to use the joystick like we did in the previous mode to pan up or pan down, like in pan follow mode, where the camera just follows left to right, but you have to manually do the input on the up and down axis. So this one will now do exactly what you're doing with your gimbal. Your camera will follow that movement. So up and down pan, left and right pan, the camera will follow that exact movement. So the next mode we have is situated on the front portion of the gimbal over here, which is your lock mode. So if you press the lock mode, that means that the gimbal is completely locked. The gimbal will not be moving your camera to the left or the right or up and down pans. The camera will stay exactly where it is. So if you pick up the gimbal and you move it, the camera will stay exactly in the same position. So it won't pan up or down at all. The camera will stay in exactly the same position. Now, that's your lock mode. Even if you go to the left or you go to the right, your camera will not move. It's almost like having your camera on a tripod and not moving the tripod at all. So that is what the lock mode does. But there's one more mode to complete the session of 5 modes today, and that is your Vortex mode. So if you see on the left buttons here, you have your follow mode, your POV mode, and your reset mode like I've showed you. But if you press the POV mode twice in succession quickly, your camera will tilt up completely. What this mode does is it helps you to do a 360 rotational spin. It does it very slowly, but you can also speed it up or slow it down in post-production. How this works is if you hold your camera up and you press the left or right joystick, the camera will start turning on the front axis only. Now, this front axis gives you a 360-degree rotation, which works exactly the way that you see now. If you tilt your camera or your gimbal forward, your camera will stay in the position exactly like it does in lock mode. But the joystick over here, this joystick, will now be spinning your camera around in a 360-degree rotation. And that is what the Vortex mode does. So you'll see people taking very, very interesting shots of a tree or some sort of scenery, and what happens is that they start doing a vortex within the shot in camera so that they can rotate this shot straight into the next shot to create an in-camera transition. So those are the 5 modes on how your Zhiyun Crane 3 gimbal works, and I really hope that you've enjoyed today's tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.